I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you don't choose you, you're going to literally resent everybody in your life that you chose. So I've been reading this book called The Artist's Way, right, bruh? And first of all, I want to tell y'all that this book is alive. This book is alive to me. This book is spot on. This book is one of the most life-changing books that I have ever experienced. I want to tell y'all that first. But this book is not for the weak. This book is not for somebody who does not want a mirror put in their face and say, this is who you are and this is what you've been doing. And you are missing out on these versions of yourself. And da-da-da. If you don't want the mirror to your face, and if you don't want the hard truth from within yourself, if you don't want to be confronted by who you are and what your soul wants, then don't read this book. But outside of that, let me get back to why I said what I said at the beginning. So basically, I'm on week 5 of this book or of my process with this book. And when I tell you how spot on she is, it was scary. It literally blew my mind that I was writing about how I felt. And then I went to go read week 5. And it was exactly that what I was writing. I'm talking about right hand to the man, exactly what I was writing. She said that I would be experiencing. I've been noticing that from each week that she's been spot on in this book. And this book will change your life when you start it, especially if you take it seriously. The second that you start reading the book and you start doing the things in the book, you will notice how the book affects your life. So in week 5, she talks about how people are afraid of being selfish. And most artists are so afraid around this time in the journey, because the first couple of weeks is like trusting yourself, coming in tune with your identity, being real, rediscovering your strength, etc., for the first 4 weeks. She talks about those different things. Week 5 is specifically, let me go to week 5 and see what it's titled. And look, week 5 is the first time I actually thought that it was so crazy that I literally had to start taking notes, y'all. I had to start taking notes. This is very serious in our journey. Literally, I put this is very serious in our journey. Week 5 is recovering a sense of possibility. And for me, why it resonated is because I was feeling like the need to want to just be alone more, but then also having this, not guilt, but feeling of like, okay, what's going to happen with me and my partner, me and my brother, me and my mom, me and my family, if I go just randomly disappear and take these weeks to myself, or if I go, spend too much time, because I've been feeling the need to just be alone. And it's like people are reaching out to me, but for whatever reason, I just need more time alone. They were talking about how people that are creating or on this journey are starting to recover a sense of possibility. They're starting to remember or believe in the things that could happen for them on their journey. And it could not just be for music, but just in reality, like just in themselves, being like, oh, these are the possibilities. We start to dream a little bigger, and we start to want to put things in action. And she was talking about how when you're going through this journey, you need a lot more off time, because you don't know when something is going to hit you. And actually I've been doing this whole journey on at Love the Artist, my other account. I've been documenting my whole journey there. And now that I think about it, last week I made a video about why artists need to have a long time, before I even got into week 5, where she talks about us feeling like we need more alone time. But anyway, she talks about that, and then she goes more in depth about that. And then after that, she starts bringing up how we feel so selfish to take a long time for ourselves, but over time, we're going to start to resent the people that are asking us for our time, because we are not valuing or honoring the version of us that is literally actively telling us, give yourself space so that you can grow. Give yourself space so that you can create, because you need space to nurture your inner artist or your inner creator, which she talks about in the thing. But your inner child, your inner creator, whatever you want to call it, you need to give yourself that nourishment, basically. And the nourishment is downtime. Artists need downtime. And she was talking about how most people, they start to ask for this, but since the people in their lives don't understand, if it comes off as selfish, they tend to have a problem giving themselves what they need. But in the end, they end up either resenting themselves or resenting someone else. And she said it branches out this way. First, you start feeling like you need a little bit of more alone time. You don't know why, but you're feeling it. then you do the things to try to give yourself more space so that you can do, like, you know, do whatever it is that you do within those downtimes. But you don't want to come off as selfish. You don't want to come off as you don't care. You want to come off as nice and helpful and valuable, which most people want to do. But in this time, you really do feel the need to be selfish with your energy, with your time, etc., etc. And she said how it branches out is there's people who they'll ask for more time alone, or they'll do the things to get more time alone. And I don't know where it stopped, but I'm going to go back and say, but people, they do the things to try to get more time alone, or they'll start asking for it, or they'll, you know, and then they'll start to get irritable with people who are not allowing them to have this time. But hearing all of the backlash, hearing people say that they're being more selfish because they're not coming through for them, or they don't have the time for them, and they're using their time for themselves internally, hearing that this people, like, people are saying they're selfish, or that they don't care anymore, or that they're acting different, etc., etc., usually causes people to kind of want to be the nice guy again, to show up for their family, to show up for their friends, to make their girlfriend or their boyfriend not feel like they're being selfish or loved, and just spend time with them. So they'll either start to you know, go back to caring for everybody else, but before that, they go through a process where people don't leave them, starting to irritate them. They're starting to get irritated. They're starting to get angry because they feel like people are asking them to do things that should be just things that are not impossible, but they're just asking too much. You start to recognize how much people ask for you in a day-to-day life because you just want to be left alone. You're not asking anybody to do anything for you or do anything, like, you're just asking to be alone more. And then you start to realize what expectations people have of you and what they put onto you because this, that, and the third. Even if it is just hang out with them. You telling them that you need more alone time to work on yourself, and them ignoring it is starting to irritate you. And every time people start coming around you, every time you feel like you just want to sit there and make that song, or you just want to sit there and feel those feelings, or whatever it may be in this downtime that you need as an artist, when people disrespect it or they're not listening to it, you're starting to just kind of get irritated every time you see them or when they come around you. And this can be somebody you really love. And then she says, if they continue to bother you, quote unquote, and you don't continue to put your foot down, and people ignore your attempts to gain something within or internally, when they're ignoring the attempts, it'll turn outward. And she put it as dramatic as or offing, but not physically. She said that in your mind, you start to feel like, oh, here she come over here bothering me while I'm trying to da-da-da. You start like, oh, I could just, because you bother me. Or I could just, that external, like, you start to get so irritated. You get so mad about it. And if then you still don't put your foot down and you still don't get this nourishment that you need, it goes from being external, because you're like, bro, it's not affecting anybody, to internal. You start feeling like, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't need that much time for myself. Maybe maybe I am being selfish. Maybe I am. And you start to feel bad about yourself. And then you go back to opting the version of you that needs this, and your inner creator does no longer trust you. You no longer trust you. Your inner creator, your inner child, your inner artist no longer trusts you to provide for them what it is asked for time and time again. So it goes back in, and it can spread out like this. It can say, a mom, she genuinely wants to have more time to start doing her dance class. She really want to learn how to do dance, or she really want to learn how to do pottery, but it kind of crosses in the time that her son does little league. So instead of finding a way for them to do both, or stopping her son from going to little league practice, what she does is she just says, oh, she doesn't need that much time, whatever, and then she forfeits her ability to go learn pottery or to go to her dance classes. And she says, I'm gonna show up as a mom. I need to be a mom. And then she sits in the crowd and watches her son little league game as she sits and basically resents herself, or future resents her child, or anybody else that took that from her. Anyways, if you watch to the end, you really must want to hear it, because I was just going on a rant. It's a 10-minute video, but I'm gonna leave a link to The Artist's Way down below, bro. This book is life-changing, and that's just week 5. Like, share, comment, follow for more. Check out my journey at Love the Artist. And yeah, love.